again, we have a different model that involves more, and also, frankly, more distress.
But we, in the process of submitting that application, we work with
Yes.
try to figure it out. You know, with the AIDS out, Columbus had, years ago, they had every summer they had sweeps. I don't know if they do that all in Chicago, but they just go through like a certain block and they just arrest everybody.
I don't know the pre-application, that's part out of the process. I mean, you assume that criminals have defined neighborhoods and boundaries and police agencies as well. Again, speaking because I'm one of the special agencies you've got, they don't know boundaries and violence can overlap. On my jurisdiction, for our Franklin County Sheriff, is there been any discussion of doing this as an interagency kind of a model? For Chicago and others, maybe, so large and so well defined, you don't need that. Just throwing that out as an idea. A lot of task force in traditional
Things are
law.
happening.
Chief, I think that's great because they're basically Columbus Police Department in the house they but I think that's as it is. You saw the New York Times a couple of weeks ago, Sunday paper. That's
So does it depend on how much you get from the grant determines if you do multiple neighborhoods, 2 neighborhoods, and if you made that decision, which neighborhoods are you waiting for the grant? How does that process work? There's obviously some.
Everybody sitting around the table wishing it's their neighborhood, but it has a definite decision that has been made on it. I would say that the ideal is to go where it's needed the most. That's the ideal. But then you got to have the cooperation and the players that are in the community that can work. But everybody sitting around the table kind of got an idea that says, push it.
And what's your ideal implementation to start off in? 1 neighborhood?
Yes.
2 neighborhoods better than 1, or 3 neighborhoods better than 1?
Well, it depends on the money, but right now we're just thinking of 1.
Okay.
I think it's 2 neighborhoods that we have been working in. We know that there's 3 neighborhoods that, like the United Way, where there's a city and build up different alliances. So, there's the neighborhoods with some things already going on. But I would just say I don't want to have any false expectations. That decision has not been made. I think I don't know how they did it in Baltimore, but it seems like Chicago definitely wants to work closely with us and have some input in those decisions and the training. Was it the same here?
Same with us.
Yeah, so that's Chicago's kind of, they want to make sure that they have input because they've been successful. So we want to, stay as close to it.
If you want the program to grow, you better make sure you have enough concentrated resources that have success, because what Baltimore has been able to do is attract more money when they show success. So if you spread it out too much and you can't then get the measurable impact, then it's going to dry up as soon as this whatever grant comes through. So what you want to build is, some success that you then go and have a more reliable funding to support it.
And will the initial grant is for what time period? How long would this enable you to deliver those services? 1 year, 2 years, 3 years? Do you?
We actually,
2 years.
Our initial
2 years.
2 years. Excuse me?
2 months. 2 years.
Is it 2 years? Okay.
But if we show success.
I know the initial model was 5 years when we first started talking, but it's maybe 2 years depending on the success that we had.
I can see the hospitals really coming behind this, because this, frankly, saves them money. Yes, sir.
Anytime you crack down on violence in one location, there's a tendency for it to move to another location. Was there anything in the evaluation that said that all things being equal, homicides are down, or was there any perception that there's a lot more surveillance happening here with the meat? Once neighborhood gets targeted with these intervention specialists, it may create perception that this is not a best neighborhood to deal drugs, for example. that it might shift, to a different community, so that the things that are correlated with homicide have also.
I think that's a good, kind of good thing about the Chicago model. You notice he said we're not worried about drug sales. We're just looking at violence, gunshots, and violence. So there's no motivation to move to another neighborhood on that basis. And you're actually impacting the players that would be moving to another neighborhood. That's the way it works, is you impact that player, that fellow or that neighbor, it's going to move to convince them somehow that's not a good choice.
And I think I understand your question too, is getting into one community and moving to another community. Is that what you're saying?
I'm saying you're doing this intervention. There's the perception of an intervention taking place, even if it isn't, if it's strictly about homicide. Does it create an atmosphere in which those activities that would correlate with violence would move to a different community? So say there's a lot of gang activity in Humboldt Park or something like that, and then there's all of a sudden these events where the CeaseFire crew comes out, they do the parade after a homicide. If you might create the idea that this neighborhood is now,
We got to move on.
let's move to a different area, and so the violence is happening next. I would say.
So I'm trying to understand your point. I understand what you're saying. But what is your point?
Well, just in terms of evaluation, it looks like the CeaseFire neighborhoods did really well relative to the other non-CeaseFire neighborhoods, but was there a spillover into the non-CeaseFire neighborhoods?
Right.
To the homicide?
You say that occurs anyway. It's occurring right now without ceasefire. So the ceasefire would be a plus to it. You see the trafficking and all the spreading out as it is now, and it's not always necessarily because there's an intervention there. Some parents will say, I want to get my child out of here, and they have moved them out, but the child is still connected to the organization, the street organization. So the street organization, they've just been expanding all over Central Ohio. Is that not correct?
Well, I think his question is getting at whether or not this actually reduces crime or just displaces crime.
I think Daniel.
I understand that. That's what I understand, and that's what I'm pointing out. The measurables that we're talking about is reducing the violence with those players that would be the ones who would move to other areas. And I thought I heard you saying the measurable would be if crime or whatever increases in the other area. And I was just saying, in order for the fairness there, that is going on right now. You couldn't take and put that just on CeaseFire. That is going on right now.
Yeah, go ahead.
So Daniel addressed that in the previous talk. So one of the things they did is they looked at the area and they looked at the border area. In the areas where they saw beneficial effect in the primary area, the border area had reduced by beneficial area. So instead of being a displacement, it was sort of a positive effect.
So there's data on that question. Contagion model that maybe not a sort of immunized against violence, sort of that herd effect, changing the social life. I think it can be done. It's a great approach.
Yeah, that's great. So it's not.
Any other comments or questions?
Good luck.
Yes, thank you. Well, if you're in Columbus, we're all going to be involved.
Right. Don't get to buy your t-shirt.
How's it going?
Right here. I left that
Ellen, I'm checking off. I'll see you later.
All right, Julia.
I'll be in touch.
I'll email you my